everybody. It's Allie. And welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, May 8th, 2022. Happy Mother's Day! You're under arrest. For what? Abandonment. Couldn't I get some flowers instead? If the Genoa City Police are arresting people for being bad parents, half of the town's gonna be behind bars. There's gonna be nobody left. I really liked that scene, though. That was fun. Watching Diane get handcuffed just felt very classically soapy. And was it me, or did Peter Bergman look especially great in that lighting? I think he and Kyle just really looked good there. They apparently both looked great in neon. Neon is their color, I guess. I thought that was a fun visual effect. And also, I really like it when a dream sequence tells me that it's a dream. It doesn't trick me into thinking that it's reality, and then it just jolts us back to the character sitting up in bed and sweating and panting. I knew it was a dream, and so I think I enjoyed it all that much more. I think maybe Diane would have possibly preferred going back to the dream of being arrested rather than waking up and walking into the reality that the Abbotts are going to barrage her. Kyle invited her over to the Abbott house to talk, and instead she walked right in to an ambush. All of the Abbotts were there. Jack, Ashley, Tracy, Abby, Billy. I think Billy was there. He got the call. I don't know if I saw him there, though. But my goodness, walking into that, ooh, that would be enough to make me nervous, especially when Ashley said, "Welcome back, bitch." And she didn't have any inflection in her voice either. The way she said it was very matter of fact. I think Eileen Davidson was in rare form, expressing all the reasons why we just absolutely cannot trust Diane. We cannot give Diane an inch. But the question on the table here is, if everyone gets a second chance, then why not Diane? Maybe Diane has changed. And I think that notion is going to especially drive Phyllis crazy. Because yeah, Phyllis ran over somebody with her car and tried to kill them, but she never tried to fake her own death. Phyllis may have tried to kill somebody, cause death, but she didn't fake her own death, and somehow that makes her better. But Jack is the heart of the matter here. For Jack, let's face it, it really all comes back to his relationship with his mother. Jack will never stop feeling that sense of loss. Jack had that sense of loss when Dina was alive, and he still has it with him now that she is gone. And I think Jack just doesn't want to deprive Kyle of the relationship with Diane that he so very much wishes that he had for himself with his mother. As parents, I guess we're always trying to do better than was done for us. We're always kind of hoping that our children have better than what we had, and I think that's where Jack is coming from. And on that same topic, in that same vein, thinking about abandonment, I don't want to miss the point that Kyle made the choice that Diane didn't. He chose to stick with Harrison as soon as he found out that Harrison was his son. He could have abandoned him. He could have run in the other direction. He could have let Ashland raise him, but he didn't. Kyle chose the path of parenthood. I'm really liking Kyle right now. I thought Michael Mealor really held up his end of the first dramatic scene with Diane where he was seeing her for the first time, and he was in tears. She was in tears. The look of betrayal on his face, and it was just mixed with a love that never went away. Betrayal and love all mixed up onto his face, and now he can add that famous Abbott abandonment complex to the mix. Diane explained to Kyle the best way she could the reasons why she didn't come back for him. She felt that she needed to start a fresh, new life, but she didn't want to ruin his life by bringing him along with her. And if Kyle had just disappeared, then Jack would have known what happened. Jack would have figured it out eventually. Jack would have come looking for them, and she would have turned her son's life into sort of a fugitive. You know, he would have been a fugitive right alongside her. And I thought that was a pretty good, a pretty compelling explanation for why she did what she did. But the question is now what? You know, Kyle and Diane had it out. He asked the questions he needed to ask. She gave the answers she's been waiting to give. So where exactly do they go from here? How exactly does Diane prove that she has changed? Well, Kyle actually asked her not to leave Genoa City. She was about ready to go, and he said, you know, I would like it if you stayed. I would like for us to try to figure it all out. And they had a follow-up conversation where Diane talked extensively about her therapy process, and I found that to also be quite compelling. Honestly, I think Diane might be the most compelling thing on the show right now. I'm really becoming a big fan. I mean, everybody loves to say the phrase, "I'm just not that person anymore." But the fact is, none of us are the person that we used to be. I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago, or I'm not even the same person I was 10 minutes ago. We're always changing in one way or another, whether it's big changes or very small little subtle changes. So I like that Kyle has decided to give Diane the benefit of the doubt. And Diane is certainly talking the talk. The question is, can she also walk the walk? I think it's excellent that Kyle was able to open up to Mariah, open up to a peer, a friend, just to have somebody outside of the Abbott family to talk to about what's going on with him. The thing is, Mariah comes off to me as really selfish a lot of the times. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but sometimes it's as if Mariah is just so self-absorbed and everybody else in the world is just an afterthought. But I guess we're all kind of that way sometimes. I just didn't like that immediately Mariah saw Kyle at the bar, didn't ask very much about what he was going through. She just launched into all of the wedding plans. And I don't love that Mariah asked Kyle to be the officiator at the wedding. I find this to be a strange new trend. It was fine at first, but having anybody and everybody in the cast performing weddings is just so weird to me. Can't we just pick one person and let them officiate the weddings? Who should it be, though? Who would make the best town wedding officiator? Like the ultimate. Who would it be? You tell me. I'm pretty sure it's not Kyle. But he didn't agree to it anyway. He's got bigger stuff on his mind. It was surprising to see Abby included in the Abbott family meeting. She is so much more of an Abbott than she ever is a Newman. But I'm also really glad that Y&R has taken a couple of opportunities since Ray's death to check in with Chance. The unexpected death of his partner, right after going through the unexpected deaths of his comrades in Spain, that really could have been a trigger for Chance's PTSD. That could be enough to really launch him into a bad place. Victor actually did pay a visit to the mansion this week. Finally, now that all of the drama is over, Victor finally stops by. Thanks for stopping by now. But Victor did pretty good, honestly. He had some good quality time with Chance. He offered Chance some words of wisdom, some words to live by, essentially telling him, you know what? Life is short. Enjoy every moment of it. Don't let it pass you by. And that's what could be a takeaway from the loss of Ray. And Chance seemed to really absorb that. Chance, after Victor left, told Abby proactively that he is not going to let this become an excuse for him to take a step backwards. And I really hope that's true, but I also somehow doubt it. We had 2 Adam and Sally hotel sex scenes this week. 2! Not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed by the first one, mainly just because I'm greedy. I would rather see a passionate lovemaking scene in the hotel room than several scenes of Sally standing around in her bra trying to have a serious conversation about Sharon and how Sharon is doing and how totally not threatened by Sharon she is. Okay, I really hope that's true, Sally, because although your black sheer bra was awesome, Sharon has a whole closet full of lingerie that can be used as a deadly weapon, so you might want to think twice about it. You might want to think twice about being too cool about Adam and Sharon. Oh. The second Adam and Sally scene was much more to my liking because I really like that raw sexuality. I like actually getting to see them kissing. The first one we didn't see. We just saw them waking up in bed. I like actually seeing the physical chemistry between those two. I mean, we spent, 2 years on, between COVID classics and then the social distancing. I want my physical intimacy on the show now. But I also really appreciated the pillow talk that came afterwards. Adam was filling in Sally about Diane Jenkins and who she is, and he had this really fantastic first run-in with Diane that Sally witnessed, and I just thought that Mark Grossman was really, really shining through there. I mean, his personality was on full display. He was putting a lot of character into the lines, and if Diane is what brings that out in him, then I hope we see more of it. Next week, we're also going to see Diane running into Michael. We saw that in the previews, and Michael was begrudgingly telling Diane that it was good to see her. Good! I'm so glad for that, because Diane is going to need at least a couple of allies in this town if she's ever going to get anywhere. Nikki and Victor told Victoria this week that she's not responsible for Ray's death. She's just responsible for the second death. First, he died on his own, but then she killed him. I'm sorry, that's how it is. He may have died on his own, but she killed him the second time. Either way, Victoria found that to be a great relief. Oh, I didn't kill him, thank goodness. Well, of course. Of course. What Victoria did not find to be a great relief, though, was the fact that Victor wanted Adam to take Ashland's place as the co-CEO of Newman Enterprises. That's right, gang. We are changing the name back. Oh! That is exactly as it should be. Thank you, Y&R. That was a good decision. It's Newman Enterprises and nothing but from here on out. And Newman Enterprises must be run by a Newman. Those are the rules. And Victoria says, well, I am most certainly not going to be sharing my CEO title with Adam. It is either going to be me or Adam, not both. You have to choose. But then she brilliantly took the decision right out of Victor's hands with a frankly impressive move. She decided to go out on her own and take on a CEO, a co-CEO after all, but it was going to need to be someone who Victor could not possibly say no to. Nikki! Nikki! Yes! I mean, well played, Victoria. Is there a round of applause for this? This is so well done. Nikki gets a boost for her resume. Victoria retains effective control. And it leaves Adam eaten dust. And right after Adam had just agreed to go make nice with Victoria too, Adam had just agreed to go try to work things out amicably, see if they could actually work together. Maybe they could run it as a run the company as a family business. Well, that was what was on the surface anyway. I don't think Adam ever wanted that any more than Victoria does. They both want to be the head honcho, the sole person in charge. And in the previews for next week, Adam is telling Sally that he's not just going to bow out just because it looks like he's lost. Oh no, Adam Newman wants the whole Newman pie. So I have no doubt that he is going to find a way to get it. It may look kind of grim for Adam right now, but I believe the tide is about to turn. Victoria's brand new oil portrait on the wall may be very short-lived in that spot if Adam has anything to say about it. Victor rewarded Victoria this week. He awarded everything she's done this week. He reaffirms his confidence in her this week by commissioning a brand new oil portrait. He put in an express order at the Walgreens or the CVS in Genoa City, and he had that thing printed up and put on the wall himself. He said, no, 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 baby girl, it's okay. Here's a new portrait for you. And I have to say, I think the new portrait is much more flattering than the old one. And I think we should just do a fun and frivolous poll question this week where I'm asking you which portrait you like better. Do you like the old Victoria portrait or the new Victoria portrait? And if you can't remember what they both look like, go to yrchat.com. When you cast your vote, I have photos of both of them there. We'll just see which one stands the test of time. I really like the new one. I think it's much more flattering, a much more flattering picture of her. I like that she's at a little bit of an angle and her hair is a little bit longer and darker, and it just seems a little bit more like she's got a secret. Like on the day that it was revealed, she looked like she just stepped out of that picture and into her office. Her hair was exactly the same. She looked exactly the same. Like she had just come up from getting her picture taken in the Sears basement at the Olin Mills. Does that joke still work? If you look at the bottom of Victoria's oil portrait, is there a little Olin Mills logo in the corner? Billy railed on about Ashland this week on the latest episode of his new anonymous podcast, Grinning Soul. What do you guys think of that name? I feel like these two words, Grinning Soul, do not either of them match what we know that the podcast is about. He's got a voice changer. He's disguising his voice on this podcast, so it doesn't sound like him. It sounds like a voice changer, which to me sounds ominous. Like the very sound of the voice changer just reminds me of America's Most Wanted or something, where there's somebody telling a story and the figure is shadowy and their voice has been changed, and it just sounds creepy and distorted and ominous, which in addition to being anonymous does not give me grinning vibes. And it also has absolutely nothing soulful about it. This podcast is not soulful. It's just Billy complaining. So grinning soul, it doesn't match to me. Oh. But boy, he really dove in deep, talking about corruption and money and power, all from his fabulous studio high atop a Genoa City skyrise. Oh, Billy. Give me just a little bit of a break, can ya? Well, it doesn't matter if he's got the voice changer. It's as soon as the podcast goes live. Well, actually, it must have already gone live because Lily said she heard it. I mean, absolutely everyone is going to be able to figure out who Billy is talking about. Yeah, Lily warned him about that on Friday. So not only are they going to realize who Billy's talking about, but as soon as the general public realizes that Victoria let the fox into the hen house at Newman Enterprises, I think there's going to be a public outcry about the whole thing. I think it's going to backlash. I think it's possible that Victoria could be publicly humiliated. I think it's possible that she's going to be forced to step away from Newman Enterprises, or maybe Victor is going to have to hand the CEO or co-CEO position over to Adam to sort of mediate the public backlash. I mean, I guess there could be like some kind of triple CEO situation that he might try to instate to mediate the whole thing. A triumvirate, triple CEO triumvirate at Newman Enterprises. I think this is all going to have backlash on Victoria, and I think it's ultimately all going to leave backlash on Billy. I mean, it's not going to be hard to figure out that he's the publisher of the podcast that humiliated Victoria, and then I imagine he's going to have to decide whether or not to own it, whether he's going to confess to her or not. I don't know, but it's just Billy, you always seem to find yourself in a sticky situation, don't you? Lily warned him about this. I mean, she told Billy earlier in the week, and in fact in the preceding weeks, that he needs to just let Victoria make her own decisions. He's got to stop obsessing about Ashland Locke, and he didn't listen. And again, we also had Ashland accusing Billy this week of being in love with Victoria. They had a little Grand Phoenix run in, and Ashland was accusing Billy of still being in love with Victoria, and that's why he can't let this issue go. And of course, Billy deflected that, but it's kind of got me wondering if there is more to that accusation. And also, if there is an Ashland Locke murder mystery that's coming up real soon, someone is going to trace that podcast back to Billy, and he could find himself facing a much more serious accusation than being in love with Victoria. Ashland tells Nick that he wants to donate half of the money that he just got from Victor to New Hope for projects in Ray's name. First of all, the look on Nick's face when he had to calculate how much $500 million was. Priceless. But I also find this move by Ashland to be so annoying. Fine, Ashland, donate the money. Get rid of it. If your intentions are pure, you would do it anonymously. But asking for the work to be done in Ray's name makes me want to puke. It's as if Ashland is now trying to ride on Ray's dead coattails. And I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. What connection does Ashland have to Ray anyway? None. Everything that Ashland does now just feels like a ploy to gain sympathy. I don't trust his intentions. I don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth. If I were Nick, I would not take his money. I think that Victoria only told Nick to take the money because it makes Ashland a little less powerful. He'd only have half of the $500 million. I think she wants to see Ashland cut off at his knees in every way possible, and I would too. But I would tell Nick to not take his money. His blood money. His Ray blood money. Because I swear, I mean, the idea that anyone is going to go to Ashland's funeral in the upcoming weeks, that's right, I said Ashland's funeral. The idea that anybody might possibly say, oh, what a great guy. Ashland made that donation in Ray's name to New Hope. Did you know that? Oh, the fact that that could ever happen, or that the notion of that would occur to anyone, just makes me so mad I could just kill Ashland. I spent most of the week not crying for Ray. It felt like a real achievement. I made it to like Thursday when Tessa announced that Ray was secretly working to clear all of the charges against her sister Crystal and to arrest any and all of the bad guys that might be pursuing her, just so that Crystal could attend the wedding. Oh, Lord. Tears. And see, I find this to be so emotionally manipulative by the Y&R writers. It's like they're saying, see how great the dead dude was. Well, I already knew that. You don't have to pile it on. It feels like such a bone being thrown out to the viewers, for the viewers to devour. It's one of Ray's bones. They just tossed out one of Ray's bones and we're supposed to devour it. Well, no. It's the same thing as Neil's pen, which I refuse to let go. It's emotionally manipulative, which I suppose is what we're here for. Please, emotionally manipulate me, Y&R. But do it in the way I want you to do it. Well, on the plus side, that plot bone led to Sharon having that incredible scene where she was talking to Ray's picture and she was happy and sad and she just had no idea that Ray was working on this, and it was, you know, the greatest wedding present of all, and that's why he wasn't very interested in what she was trying to plan for the wedding, because he knew that he already had the perfect gift. See, it's totally believable. That's what kills me. I totally believe that Ray would have done all of this work to free Crystal and never have told anyone. That is the difference between Ray and Ashland Locke. It's all true. Why is Ray gone and Ashland is still here? Ray wants to do good for good's sake, just for being good, and Ashland wants to do good for himself, for his own sake. I could just kill him. That man doesn't deserve to be walking around alive. I could just kill him. I mean, that's exactly what everyone's going to be saying at Ray's memorial service next week, right? Sharon is, I don't know, FedExing Ray back to Miami, but she decides that she wants to have a little impromptu shindig next week before he goes. Next week? Really? Because next week is the 13th. So that means that next week is the week of Mariah and Tessa's wedding. Are you kidding me? We're going to have a wedding and a funeral in the same week? Like a prisoner in a gilded cage. Oh, you guys really got me on this one. 20 winners, 20 of you guessed that Diane was the one who said, like a prisoner in a gilded cage. She was describing her Grand Phoenix hotel accommodations. I would love to stay at the Grand Phoenix Hotel. I would be perfectly happy to be a prisoner in a gilded cage where I could get a massage and a manicure and all kinds of stuff I don't got to do. You mean I don't have to go outside? I could just stay in the hotel and get massages every day. I'm sure there's a pool. There's all kinds of stuff I could do there. Go down to the dining room, have a drink at the bar. I mean, sure. I would have no problem being a prisoner in that gilded cage. Ah. Congratulations, Marianne, Henry, Keisha, Daisy, good old Marky, Sherrod, Nancy, Southside Granny, Sharita, Victoria, Heather, Jamie, Tanya, Sheila, Sam, David B, Sue W, Sherry Lynn, TJ, and Tommy. You guys all guessed that right. And so I'm picking a hard one this week. I don't think you're going to get it because it's pretty vague, but I thought it was a good line. Nothing is black and white. Oh, you're not gonna get it. But you're welcome to try to prove me wrong. Nothing is black and white. If you think you know who said it, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you do get it right, then I will humbly give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Well, let's move on to your comments, starting with Gary, who says, "Good morning, chatters. Deal with the fact that Ray Rosales is nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award." Oh, is that true? Did Jordy get nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award? That's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. I want him to win, too. I hope he wins, and then he kind of feels like, that'll that'll be really a good boost for his resume that'll help him maybe get some more jobs along the way. Because I think there is got to be just a general consensus of, man, this guy seems like he could have done a whole lot more than the Y&R writers gave him to do. So I'm happy for that. I really didn't look to see who else was nominated. I don't know why. I never paid too much attention to the Daytime Emmy Awards, but I do love seeing the outfits that they wear to the ceremony, so I will tune in for that. Ellen says, so is Victoria now happy with her choice to drive on a foggy night while crying and having an emotional phone call with her mother? As long as Ray had a heart attack, it's now a good decision. Would it really have mattered to anyone if Ray had just swerved to avoid an animal? Just trying to follow the logic, and of course to compare it to everyone's reaction about the accidental death of Delia. Ooh, that's a really good point, Ellen. Yeah, I mean, Victoria still made a bad decision going out and driving in the fog, and I still think that whole thing seems fishy anyway. I'll just erase the heart attack from my mind. I would have been fine without the heart attack. I don't know why. It's just insult to injury or something. Just imagining Ray like in the car having his heart attack. Oh, Lord. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I've almost been trying to repress and not face Ray's death. There's a part of me that just doesn't want to face it. Oh, I mean, I have so little spare time. I don't want to cry in it. It's like, man, I get like 1 hour spare time a day during Y&R, and I don't want to spend it sobbing for dead Ray clasping his chest as the car crashes into the Victoria. Oh, it's just too dark for me. Oh, well, here's a good point. T. Nicole says, I thought that Michael was going to be more involved in taking Ashland down, as that's what the writers made us think when Michael first came home from Peru. He was even in the Newman office when Victoria first exposed her plan. Well, dang, T. Nicole, that's a really good idea. Michael did just kind of fall off of the map right then and there, right as things started ramping up with Ashland getting exposed. But he's coming back next week. I'm assuming he's going to have at least some comments, maybe a run-in with Ashland. Hopefully he'll at least have a run-in with Ashland. But you can probably add Michael to the list of suspects of people who would have a motive to kill him. It's so ironic that it feels like we're almost duplicating the Diane murder mystery in a way with Ashland, and the fact that when Diane died, I mean, the whole town was suspect. Everybody hated her. A lot of time was put into making Diane a lot of enemies and building up a whole lot of motive for absolutely everybody to have done it, and it kind of seems like that's where we're headed right now. Everybody wants Ashland dead, or everybody has a negative opinion of Ashland, and somebody, I think, is gonna kill him. I feel like somebody's gonna either kill him or attempt to kill him. Frankly, at this point, I don't know. Part of me is kind of like, I wouldn't mind if he did get killed. I'm so mad at him now. Now, after I found out that he betrayed me and lied to me about the cancer thing, I just kind of feel like, I don't even want to see him anymore. But I asked you guys last week if you guys wanted to see Ashland and Victoria reunite eventually. 31% of you said yes. 69% of you, the majority, said no. I voted with the majority, not wanting to see Ashland and Victoria reunite. I'm still holding a grudge. But Sue W. has a different reason, saying, nope, I want Victoria back with Billy. I'm probably the only one who does, but I want Ashland to stay on the show. Ellen says, I'm tired of the crazy love life of Victoria Newman. I'd like to see a reunion, but Ashland should have to work long and hard to win her back. Let's see him do something honorable with his $500 million, plus appeal to Victoria's love of art or whatever. He should never work at Newman again. So do you think his giving the $250 million to New Hope, does that count as honorable? I almost wish it wasn't just like a blanket, here, giving it right back to the Newman family and the New Hope thing. I don't know. I wish if he was going to donate the money, I would have rather, in one lump sum, I would have rather have seen him do it totally anonymously, And then only the viewers knew, like maybe Nick just got the check and it was like, whoa, and then the viewers knew Ashland did it. That would have proven something to me. Or I would have liked to have seen Ashland maybe start a new company, a new business, or something charitable. I gotta have some kind of redemption for him, because right now I just want him dead. Kamna voted yes to the reunion, but says, I voted yes in eventually is key for me. Victoria and Ashland may have a logic-defying Victor-Nikki kind of relationship, but they need to go their separate ways for a while. Missed timings on both of their parts would be good too. Maybe bring Tara back for a bit, or put Victoria with a temporary guest character for a while, or something. That's true. For all the many times that Nikki and Victor broke up, they were certainly with other people in the interim. So yeah, I could definitely get down with seeing Victoria or Ashland with somebody else for a while. And I could definitely get down with seeing Tara come back. I thought she was great. Sharita says, I think they are a great couple despite the lie. I think he did that to her more because of what her father did with the heart attack than because of her. I also feel like Victoria didn't have feelings of altruism and love at first when it came to the merger. She wanted a giant company. That is one of the reasons they're a perfect match for each other. I would want them back together, but not running the company anymore. Let Ashland keep his 500 mil and build a competing company, but keep their romance alive. Yeah, if Ashland and Victoria did get back together, as Ellen said too, you would have to take the company out of it. They couldn't work together. It would have to just be a personal relationship that developed. But you do make a good point too, Sharita, that Victoria's motives were probably not pure at the beginning of the relationship either. She wanted a giant company. She wanted to be able to prove herself. I think she had just become CEO permanently, right, when that happened, and I think she wanted to prove that she could make a big move at Newman. She wanted to make a show of it. She wanted her father to be proud of her, and so maybe she was willing to get her hands a little dirty too to do it. I think you're right. Southside Granny voted yes to the reunion, but only if Victoria leaves Genoa City for good. Am I mistaken? I thought the character of Ashland Locke was going to be just a year contract. I don't know anything about his contract, but you know what? I think, wasn't it Jordy who said about the contracts that you may get a year contract, but every so many weeks or months, Y&R gets the opportunity of whether or not to re-up it. So even if you get a year contract, they can look at it every couple of months and decide whether or not to keep you on. So, I mean, contract schmontract, it's like you don't even know these days. They're so meaningless these days. I don't think Victoria will leave town for good, but I'm not totally ruling it out that Y&R wouldn't make a big May sweeps move and actually kill Ashland. Sharad says, I still don't understand why Victoria, and especially Victor, are upset about Ashland faking an illness. He was known for bad behavior already. Besides, Victor has faked one before, and his own death. Ashland stated he did it because he was upset about Tara. To me, it would have rang more truthful if he said he did it to get back at Victor for not calling the EMT when he was having a heart attack. But along the way, he fell in love with Victoria. I say stay with the man. Okay, so this is interesting that, let's see, so Sharad and Sharita both brought up the heart attack. That really would have been a better motive for it all that didn't get quite worked in. If Ashland would have said, your father was going to let me die on the floor. That's why I wanted to get my hands on Newman Enterprises. That's why I did what I did. Your father's not a nice man. Victoria, I don't know if you know this, but your father's not a nice man. Oh, goodness. Let's switch over to a different topic, but let's stick with Sharad, who says, I am not sure how it came across to other viewers, but it seemed that Mariah was kind of cold about hearing that Crystal can come to the wedding. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think that Mariah loves the fact that Tessa has no one to talk to or turn to in this town. It's like she wants Tessa all to herself. There was no real excitement because of the news that her bride-to-be will have an actual family member at the wedding, and all because of Ray. I wish the show could have actually had Ray go get Crystal and brought her back to Genoa City and Tessa. As I said, Ray loved and supported Tessa and Mariah's relationship, but most of all, he liked Tessa, unlike Nick. Oh, there's so much good stuff in here. Okay, well, first of all, I feel like the Mariah not really reacting to the Crystal part of it, it just like Mariah comes off selfish to me. And this is just more of that. It's just Mariah lives in Mariah's world and only cares about what Mariah wants. It just feels like she so rarely seems to tune in to other people first. So it's just more of that for me. But I love your point that wouldn't it really have been so good if we actually got to see Ray give that gift to Tessa at the wedding? I mean, that would have been amazing. It's such a good idea, and I guess I just feel disappointed, and it's just a shame that it didn't actually get to be seen on screen. Yeah, that really bugs me. But I also really like your idea that, Nick definitely seems... I mean, at the very least, he seems unaffected by Tessa, or, I mean, like, he doesn't necessarily seem to actively dislike her to me, but, yeah, he definitely doesn't have any connection to her whatsoever. He seems just sort of indifferent to Tessa, right? But, yeah, I think this is a really great gift. I wish that Ray had been here to give it. Well, Gary predicts Noah to find true love with Crystal Porter. Oh, I think that's a great idea. What if, Noah cannot have Tessa. He has been, for months, trying to get Tessa out of his mind. What if Tessa's sister shows up and he has a romance with her? Oh, Gary, that's so good. But you know what? There's no casting news about Crystal unless it just came out and I missed it. But I looked the day and the day after that this was announced, and I didn't see anything about Crystal being cast to be at the wedding. So are we actually going to get a Crystal at the wedding? Is it going to be the last actress who played her, or is it going to be someone new, or no one at all? We are getting Allie next week. We saw that in the previews, and we had also predicted that maybe Allie could be a potential match for Noah. So I don't know, it seems like either way maybe Noah's going to get a lady. Daisy says it will be nice to see Tessa's sister Crystal come to the wedding, but she may show up with a hidden agenda to get back at Tessa for leaving her in harm's way. She thinks everything that happened to her was Tessa's fault. She believes Tessa owed the kidnappers money and she was used as payment. Crystal may first try to get closer to Tessa's new family by getting close to Noah, making herself the woman who made him forget about Tessa, and then she may plan to take them away from her, leaving Tessa all alone. Revenge for Tessa leaving her all alone with her criminal friends. Ooh, I don't remember that much about Crystal's backstory. The whole sex ring thing was such a big bucket of blah to me. I've erased it from my memory. But I think it's an interesting idea for a twist that maybe Crystal comes back, she falls in love with Noah, everything on the surface seems legit, but she's really just there for a revenge plan. That's kind of how they twisted it with Tessa, though, right? I mean, they had Tessa come fall in love with Noah, and then she said to him, I was only using you for your money, and and they kind of like, that was also a bucket of blah. Gary says, pleased to learn on Thursday that there is a last-minute church memorial for Ray. No time for Noah to create art invitations. The conclusion of the episode had it all set up for the next day, which is to be the same day on the show, but then Friday switched to the Diane saga. Even being skeptical, I am assuming that will play on Monday, and this isn't one more off-camera event. They wouldn't do that gag here, would they? Oh, that is a really good question. It hadn't even occurred to me that the memorial that Sharon was talking about could be happening off screen too. I completely assumed we were going to see something, but now that you say it that way, I really would not even be surprised if we just saw everybody walking back through the door of Sharon's house talking about the memorial service. It just feels like Ray went out with such a fizzle. I guess that's what bothers me about it. I don't have a problem with Ray dying. I mean, Y&R obviously didn't know what to do with the character, but it just feels like Ray went out with such a whimper, and that's disappointing to me. If they had to kill him, I really wish that they could have killed him with a bang. Well, Laura says, the way Chelsea described her feelings for Ray was suspicious. All she did was describe how he treated her. One-way love, bouncing from her to his general direction, bounce off of him, and right back to her to absorb. Oh, Laura, this is a really great point, that it was really one-way love. Ray never really gave any indication that he had feelings for Chelsea. We saw Chelsea having the dream about Ray, and then we saw Chelsea, staring at Ray. We got the impression that Chelsea was falling for Ray, but we never got that from Ray. So really, Laura, you're making a great point that it was one-way affection. It was, oh, Ray gave me attention, and therefore that felt good to Chelsea. And that is a major red flag, and I'm glad that Chloe clocked it this week. Chloe said, hey, your reaction is a lot. I didn't realize that you guys, were that close. Were you falling in love with Ray? And Chelsea denied it. And then she flew off into this kind of crazy rant about Ashland Locke for the second time. So yeah, I really think we're building toward a who killed Ashland Locke, but that's a different topic. Yeah. Well, Daisy says, I think it's a good idea that Victoria stood her ground and chose her mother as co-CEO rather than Adam. Adam is getting Sally involved in the family business way too much. It's like he doesn't know how to stand on his own. He's lost without Chelsea, perhaps. Oh, that's an interesting point. It does kind of seem lately like, I don't know if it's that Adam doesn't know how to stand on his own, but he really does need a lot of propping up lately. I think he is sort of lost, not really knowing what to do, and it does seem like for the first time in a long time, he has someone who isn't working against him. He has someone who he feels he actually does trust, doesn't want anything from him, and so maybe that's so foreign to him that he's craving it and needing it, and maybe that's what's driving a lot of his actions. It is surprising how involved Sally is in the family business. It's surprising to me that Victor has conversations right in front of Sally, but then again, she is she's the COO of Newman Media, so I guess it's appropriate, but something about it definitely still feels a little bit off to me. Maybe it's also the part that I just still think of Sally as a fashion designer. I mean, she's doing this co-CEO job. We're being told that she's doing a great job at it, but I guess I'm still sort of yearning to see her do that thing that Sally Spectra does. I'm not getting it. Well, Tony says, I seem to remember voting on board member assignments, even bringing in proxies and extras to fill the table, both at Newman and Jabot. Not just pick me, okay. I'm glad you brought up the board, Tony, because I kind of wonder if part of Adam's strategy, maybe one of his next moves, will be to go to the board, because it was Adam that mentioned the board a couple of weeks ago, and then we never heard anything more about them. We know the board must be there, and I'm not quite sure if Y&R is forgetting about that on purpose, or if they maybe do have a plan to have Adam take a case to the board. We'll just have to see. Well, Victoria says, eek! Says Eric in wardrobe. Tell Courtney to stop ripping off Mark's buttons. I'm tired of chasing them around. Yeah, I liked in the lovemaking scene on Friday how Sally, Courtney, she was trying to get the buttons undone. She was really trying to not hurt the shirt. She unbuttoned like 4 or 5 of them, and at the very end she just said, this is TV, damn it, we're trying to make this good, it's lovemaking, I'm ripping this button, and she just went for it, and that was fun and good, and I liked it, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I also really liked Sally's black multicolored sparkly jacket. That combined with the boobs and the red hair, the bottle red hair, she looked like she was going to the midnight show of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Love it. Oh, T. Nicole says, do you think Sally will become an ally or a friend to Diane Jenkins? Oh, I like that idea very much, because Sally was kind of seeming like she was going to be friends with Tessa, and then that never really happened. Maybe Sally could be friends with Diane? I don't know. Jamie says, maybe I'm reading too much into Sally's expression upon seeing Diane, but it looked like a flash of recognition. What a fun turn of events that would be. Sally having scoop on Diane's LA shenanigans? Oh, that would be really good if it was revealed that Sally knew Diane, or at least knew of Diane. They were both in LA, supposedly, at around the same time, so that would be such a great connection. Oh, if Sally just showed up at the bar next to Diane and then they just had a conversation where they both clearly knew each other, that would blow my mind. I would love that. That's a fun and soapy, twisty idea. I love it. Well, Naomi says, I wish Diane would give a hint of how she's staying basically ageless, but for a little gray in her hair and a few wrinkles around her eyes. She looks the same as in the flashbacks. Maybe Ashland can quit moping once he sees Diane. Oh yes, I mean, I've said it before too. I think that she looks so good. How does she look so good? I think we all know the answer to that. Deal with the devil. It's the only possible way that she looks that good. She does look exactly the same as in the flashbacks. It's just uncanny. Well, Sharad says, I find it interesting that Y&R believes showing love between two women in a love scene would be offensive, but having a woman call another woman a bitch is not. And Ambreen says, I don't know, but it throws me off when they use the B words in other language. I mean, is it necessary? I just don't like it. Victor, Nick, and Phyllis are notorious for this. I'm sure there are other ways to express your disdain. Soaps aren't squeaky clean, but I just feel the language sours it for me. I'm so glad that you both brought this up because I feel the same way. I'm always really uncomfortable when anybody gets called a bitch. It's not a word that I use in my life, and in general, I try to keep the tone of Y&R Chat at the same tone and the same level of the show. You know, I don't use language that the show doesn't use, and so again, and since bitch is a word that I don't use in my life, I always feel uncomfortable saying it on Y&R Chat. I feel uncomfortable saying it or hearing it on the screen, and so I'm glad you guys brought that up. There's some other stuff that they've used in the past where I thought, how did they really get that past the censors? Can you really say that? I mean, I guess that's not as uncommon these days. There are little things that slip by, but I was just curious to know if anybody else feels that way too. Do you like that? Do you sometimes feel like the language goes a little too far or not? I thought that was just sort of a little point that I don't think we've talked about before in the past. It's like you think that broadcast TV is supposed to be, I mean, I know not squeaky clean, but I mean, I imagine kids turn on the TV and hear that. I mean, if it's not something that kids are really allowed to say in schools, it's something they should be hearing on TV. But even in that vein, I was thinking back to what my memories were of the Crystal sex ring storyline. The only thing that I do remember of that was Scott waking up in the bed with a dead bloody hooker, and that stuck with me because I couldn't believe that Y&R would show that on daytime, and I just couldn't believe that, you know, a kid could go turn on the TV at any point and just like, oh, okay, there's that blood. I don't know. For me, I guess maybe my sensibility is a little bit different than others, but that's why I thought I'd toss it out there. Do you ever feel like Y&R goes a little too far with language or the things that they show, or like the sex scenes? I mean, you know, it's a tough thing because even though I wouldn't want my daughter necessarily watching Sally rip Adam's shirt off and then throwing him down on the bed, but at the same time I want it for me. So where do you draw the line? I guess it's kind of arbitrary, isn't it? We all have our things that we like and our things that we don't like, but I thought that was a fun topic for the week, or at least a little thought-provoking topic. But now let's switch it over to this. Victoria says, I disagree, Jack. Choosing to fake her death and not see her son for many years wasn't the right choice. Couldn't Diane have decided to stay and face her bad decisions? Wasn't that the option she should have taken? Oh, what a good point, Victoria. Yeah, Jack seemed to settle into the idea that maybe Diane did make the right decision by not coming back for Kyle, that maybe she made the right decision for herself and for him by just leaving. But you make a good, really rational point here that, oh, maybe like the right thing to do would have been staying and facing whatever it was you've done and working it out in front of people, not faking your own death and abandoning your son. Well, Naomi says, Phyllis is frantic to get it through Jack's thick head that Diane is still Diane. I loved that scene. Phyllis could barely contain herself. She was so very, very anxious and even seemed frightened at times. Diane must have been a hellcat. And then we see Diane facing off with Victor, and I better understand why Phyllis is in full panic. Diane really had an effect on Victor. I was seeing some sparks of attraction between Victor and Diane. Some trouble between Victor and his baby would keep me interested. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that Diane could go, and I think you're right. She was quite a hellcat. And I think that's also just going to make for a really fun rivalry between Diane and Phyllis. And I like that there is some controversy here of, can Diane have changed? I mean, we know she was so bad. She did all of these really bad things. She's not denying that. Nobody's denying that. So the question really hinges on, can a person change? I think we all know the answer is yes. But it's a matter of, has specifically Diane changed? If people are capable of it, is she capable of it? Victoria says, could any chatters remind me of what happened between Nick and Diane? Nikki warned Diane to stay away from Nick. So this is interesting because Adam also mentioned this when Victor told Adam that Diane was still alive, and Adam told Sally that Nick had dated her. I don't remember that at all. It would have been the Mara West version, but I really don't remember it. I did a little bit of looking online, and I found this from a user called All Aboard at the website soaps.com, and it says, Nick and Diane dated before she was, in quotes, murdered. Victor tried to warn Nick about how devious Diane is, and of course, Nick told his dad to take a hike. So Victor seduced Diane away from Nick by hiring her. She's an architect. To do some designs for the ranch and then hit on her, of course. Diane, being such a money grubber, decided why be with Nick, who had just given away the majority of his inheritance to charity in one of his infamous tantrums against his dad, when she could have the big cheese. So she dumped Nick to be with Victor, who turned around and dumped Diane. She was played by Mara West at the time. Nick and Diane seemed to be getting serious and did have lots of parent-kid activities together since they were both working single parents. Kyle and Summer could have been step-sibs had Diane not fallen for Victor's tricks. Oh, that's so interesting. I guess maybe I do kind of a little bit remember, but it certainly wasn't enough of a relationship to I don't know, spark anything for me. I don't feel affectionate about it at all. It sort of rings a bell, but not much more than that. There was also people on that website talking about Nick and Diane had sex and Adam for some reason was watching, and it was like sort of icky or something. I couldn't find anything more about that, but maybe some of you guys know, or can you fill in that blank? I did the research trying to find something about Nick and Diane, so somebody else do the research and tell me about why was Adam watching them having sex. Oh, goodness. Well, we have a couple of Y&R Chatter birthdays coming up this week. Liz, your birthday is on May 10th next week. Happy birthday. What's your cake going to be? Is it going to be a spring cake? Or is it weird that I always do cakes? Does everybody get a birthday cake? Let me know what your birthday cake is or what your birthday treat is. And if you don't have a birthday cake or a birthday treat, I think you should get one and start that as a tradition. Birthday equal eaten. And Cherie says, my 44th birthday is on May 12th, and I will be enjoying it by going out to dinner and to the casino with my family to also celebrate my son's 21st birthday on May 11th. Oh my gosh, Cherie, so your son was born on May 11th, and then the day after was your birthday. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. So the casino, that's his big 21, going to the casino. Oh, that's going to be awesome. awesome. Yay. Oh, and you're going out to dinner too. That sounds fun. I've been to Vegas a couple of times, but there's a boat. There's a river boat not very far from where I am, and I've never been to it. I'm not big of a gambler. Even when I was in Vegas, I maybe put $20 on slots, and that's about it. I was mostly there for the shows and the food. You know me and the food. But wonderful. Happy birthday to Liz and Sherry. That's wonderful. So last week also, I thought I had this grand idea that Y&R should have a hairdresser on the show and a beauty salon set. And David B says, Allie, you were talking about needing a hairdresser character and a salon set. They already did that. It was way before your time, but I seem to remember a beauty parlor set where the original Jill, pre-Abbott Foster, played by the fantastic Brenda Dixon, worked as a manicurist. I think that was how she first met Catherine Chancellor. They got close, and Kay eventually moved her into the Chancellor Mansion, which led to her involvement with Philip Chancellor. Later on, I think Rex Sterling's character came on as a hairdresser with Kay as a client, which led to them getting married. Oh yes, I did know that Jill was a manicurist. And Rex, though? I don't think I knew that about Rex. He's Danny Romolani's father, right? Wasn't he kind of a con man? I remember Rex and Catherine. Rex and Catherine were married when I first started watching the show. But he must have come on as a hairstylist. That's interesting. Huh, I didn't know that. Well, I mean, if you're talking the Brenda Dixon version of Jill, there's nobody who knows more about that than Gary. And Gary says Jill's first manicurist job was at Hazel's Beauty Shop. I believe the salon was owned by a woman named Hazel. Surprise. Ooh, Hazel's Beauty Shop. After Kay and Jill had worked their way through Philip Chancellor and his aftermath with the plot having run dry, Jill, poor again after Kay has her marriage to Philip declared null and void, had to go back to work as a beautician, arriving at the Golden Comb, where she met Derek Thurston. Derek had bright blonde hair like Marilyn Monroe and wore tight white pants and a white polo shirt as his standard uniform. He was not a villain, but I suppose slick and looking for an opportunity. Jill was attracted to him, but can't remember the exact nature of their relationship, but he also fell under the influence of Catherine, who also had a yen for him, and the two women went back to fighting over him, the same man all over again. Oh, the Golden Comb! The Golden Comb. Can you even imagine walking down the strip in 2022 and looking up and seeing the place called the Golden Comb? Would you work there? Would you stop there? Would you decide to get your hair done there? I don't know, but I tell you, if I looked through the window of the Golden Comb and I saw that the person who was doing the hair was a blonde-haired man in tight white pants and a tight white polo shirt, you better believe I'd walk through the door. And that's a wrap. Oh. Well, I hope you guys had a really good week. I hope you have a very happy Mother's Day. Go to yrchat.com to leave your comments about the chat, leave your comments about the show, and I will be next Sunday right back here to do it all again. I love you guys. Have a good week. Bye.